joined by Susan Hall, who's a member of the London Assembly and, of course, the Tory candidate for Mayor of London. She's the woman trying to take on Sadiq Khan. Let's get started because Gary on My People's panel has asked what you would do about ULEZ if you got elected.
I'd stop the expansion on day one, and I pledged that, and that would happen.
Would you reverse the congestion charge, LTNs?
LTNs are within the control of the local councils, but I would absolutely do everything I could to get them removed.
And obviously the Labour attack line on that, particularly with regard to the ULEZ expansion, is that it was Boris Johnson's, a Tory's idea.
Yes, but that's a ridiculous argument. It was brought in for the centre of London. And talking to people that live in inner London, they are happy with it. But then they've got buses at the end of the roads. They've got tube stations everywhere. Those of us that live in the outskirts of London just do not have the same offer of public transport. And that's the difference. And that's what Sadiq Khan just does not understand.
The other thing that has got motorists tearing their hair out is all of the introduction of the 20-mile-an-hour zones. Finchley Road and surrounds.
Yes.
People getting fined because they've gone at 22. I mean, sometimes at night, by the way. I think we can understand 20-mile-an-hour zones near schools at peak times.
Yes.
But what do you think? I mean, would you rip all those out?
The 20-mile-an-hour zones in places like you've said, the Finchley Road, are ridiculous. And I do wonder if that's a cash grab as well, which, of course, the ULEZ expansion absolutely is.
Why do you say that?
Because £200 million has been put into the budget that they think that they'll get from it from the first year. This is nothing but a tax on the poorest of Londoners.
But Sadiq Khan will insist that this is to try and make the London air cleaner and to save lives.
Yes, but his own impact assessment done by TfL or commissioned by TfL says it will make virtually no difference whatsoever. But it is making a big difference to those families that simply cannot afford to replace their cars. £2,000 scrappage scheme, we both know, Camilla, does not buy you a compliant car. I mean, he just doesn't listen, doesn't understand. It's a tax on poorer Londoners.
Do you also agree, again from Gary, he wants to know from a Tory whether we should scrap the ban on diesels and petrols by 2030? I mean, do you want to see the government be pushing back some of these net zero targets and some of these things that are actually going to impoverish people, the ripping out of boilers and replacing them with heat pump plan? What does that mean?
It's commendable that they've got a date, but I don't think it's going to work.
But you're quite juxtaposed then. You're a Tory, but you're quite juxtaposed to government policy. I mean, do you consider yourself to be on the right of the party?
Do you know, it depends what you're talking about. Sometimes I would be slightly to the right. Other times, apparently, I'm not. I have got my own views. As Mayor of London, you have got to have your own views and reflect what Londoners want. And it doesn't matter if those Londoners are Tory, Labour, Liberal, whatever they are, or those with no particular politics at all. You've got to listen to people.
On that note, I've just got to ask you about this because it's been alleged that you've liked tweets that endorse comments made by Enoch Powell, that you've, I think, tweeted in 2020, quotes, "Come on, Donald Trump, make sure you win and wipe the smile off this man's face." That's in response to a video of Sadiq Khan. You've also liked a tweet calling Mr. Khan a traitor rat and saying that he's our nipple height mayor of Londistan.
Yeah.
Are they the right things to be retweeting?
Well, quite frankly, I knock on doors morning, noon and night. That's what I do. I ask people their opinions. I have never, ever had anybody on a doorstep say, "Oh, but I don't like your tweets." People are worried about things like the ULEZ, cost of living, and policing is high on everybody's agenda. That's what I'm hearing on the doorsteps. People don't worry about that. People worry about what's going to affect their lives. And I have to be, with the greatest respect, what I put on Twitter on that doesn't affect people's lives. These big issues do.
All right, let's talk about perhaps a big issue for some people in that part of London, the Notting Hill Carnival. There's been a lot of talk about the arrests that are made, the violence that happens at the carnival. Should it be stopped?
No, I've never said it should be stopped. I do wonder if the organisers ought to look at putting it somewhere else. It's a victim of its own success. People love going to it. It's a wonderful celebration of culture, but it's got so successful, so many people go to it. It's in roads that cannot cope with that.
Should it be moved then, rather than stopped?
I think the organisers should certainly look at that and see if that's what they could do.
Would you be happy to see Jeremy Corbyn stand against you for Mayor of London? I mean, the polling suggests if he does so, he splits the left-wing vote between him and Sadiq Khan, and you race through the middle.
Well, it's for him to decide what to do. I do know that possibly there will be problems within the Jewish community if he does, because of his anti-Semitism, and we
he
must
suggests he isn't an anti-Semite, but you think he is?
Enough.
OK.
No, I just know what the Jewish community might think about that. Let's
talk very quickly as well about American XL bully dogs that have made their way from America to the UK. Quite a lot of attacks in the London area. Obviously, Rishi Sunak's come out with this ban. Would you like to see a cull? Because if there are dogs still in existence for the next 10 years, even if they're banned from coming here and being bred, you've still got these potentially aggressive dogs in danger of attacking humans.
Yeah, aggressive dogs that can be 9 stone are a problem. I'm glad they're going to be banned.
Should they be killed?
At this point, I don't think so. I think they should have muzzles on. Certainly, personally, but it's only a personal thought, I would not want them near my grandchildren. If they're 9 stone, if they weigh 9 stone and they're up against children, clearly there could be a problem.
I know you're a GB viewer and listener, so I wondered whether you caught Patrick Christie's expose of the fact that Labour-run Ealing Council has been housing people in shipping containers. He spoke to a legal immigrant. She had come in from the Congo. She's in the shipping container with her children. It's cockroach infested. It's not fit for habitation. She made the point, why am I here? And people who have come here illegally are in hotels.
Well, I would say she's got a point. I mean, the broader issue is the fact that despite that the government given Sadiq Khan £9 billion to build more housing, he has not built enough houses, and that's certainly something I will be looking at when I'm mayor in May.
And a final word on crime. We've now become, according to some of the newspapers, a nation of shoplifters. Are you worried about some of these kind of mob attacks on shops on, for instance, Oxford Street? What would you do about it,
Well, I
Susan?
stand up for shop owners everywhere, and it is shoplifting, isn't it? It's a crime.
Has the Met lost control of this?
The Met has. We've got to have more bobbies on the beat. We've got to have more frontline policing in show.
Also, how about this £200 limit? They won't look at you unless you've thieved something for more than
outrageous, Camilla.
What do you think then?
I think that is outrageous. Stealing is stealing. If I was to take your pen, that is stealing.
Yeah.
And I feel very strongly about this. We've got to get law and order back in London, and I will absolutely sort this out when I become mayor.
Susan Hall, lovely to speak to you this morning.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll be speaking to you again as the campaign continues.